Okay, we're going to start our second portion of the forum with the two candidates for coroner. And we will start, I've placed them alphabetically from left to right. And so we will start with Mr. Martinez with his opening of 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me out here. It's not the first time I come out here. I started feeling more comfortable the more I do this. My name is Tom Martinez. People call me Tom. I'm a deputy coroner for Kendall County. I'm an emergency responder. I'm a business person. I business owner. I have multiple businesses, and those are some of the different things that I bring to the table. I take a lot of pride in the way I handle my families. You know, I take care of families that have been victims of homicide, suicide, industrial accident, and they're people that need a lot of attention and compassion. So I'm running for the county coroner's office because I take a lot of pride in the way I handle everything in regards to my families, and I also bring balance into what the coroner's office has been in need. I think from that standpoint, we need somebody that has the skill, investigative background. Some of my certifications and credentials for my background are lead homicide investigations, medical legal death investigations from multiple states, all throughout the Midwest. I earned my certification through the University of St. Louis, one of the most prestigious ones for forensic. And I'm here trying to do another thing that the coroner's office should be involved, which is try to save lives. I have 3 young children, which are my cheerleaders and my football player, and I want them to be successful people, and more than anything, I want them to survive.
Thank you. Mr. Russell.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. I truly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Lee. My name is Rob Russell, and I am the Kane County Coroner. 4 years ago, I laid out a plan with specific goals to transform the office into the respected office it deserved to be. Each of the last 4 years, my team and I have attained several of those accomplishments. All of the accomplishments, however, were spearheaded with 3 important concepts. Those concepts are compassion, integrity, and professionalism. Under compassion, as many of you may have read in the Chicago Tribune and many of the other newspapers, is that upon taking the office, I had 47 unclaimed remains that were left on shelves. They were there for only God knows how long. And I figured it was the right thing to do to handle that, so we did. We reunited 7 of them back to their loved ones, and we offered dignity by collaborating to the St. Charles Township Cemetery at no cost to taxpayers. As far as compassion, we also have instituted an office survey. And I think you'll find that over the 300 surveys, overwhelmingly affirm a positive relationship with those we directly serve, with personal notes thanking each deputy. Under integrity, we do what we say we're going to do. When I took over the office in 2012, I said I would retire from the DuPage County Sheriff's Office, and I did. This is all I do. This is my full-time position. From the background that I have, I laid it out, but I didn't embellish my credentials. I said this is what I have, and that's what was there. We corrected payroll issues that were not in compliance with federal standards. We had honest and upfront budgeting. I was told to come in with a flat budget, but looking at the budget and looking at the problem of the office, you found out, you know what, the past just couldn't continue to be doing the same way that it was, so we had to change some things. I opened a cold case unit to review some old cases, which resulted in appropriate changes to many of those. Under professionalism, we rewrote the Kane County Coroner's Office Policy and Procedure Manual. It was basically piecemeal when I took over. We made it now predictable so my employees know what to do and when to do it. We corrected facility issues. We created proactive prevention programs, many different things that we've done. But most importantly, we became the first accredited coroner's office in Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 1, and we'll start with Mr. Russell. What are the biggest issues facing the coroner's office over the next few years?
It's always a great question. You know, some of the biggest issues has been, you know, in the fact that I cannot predict the amount of death that's going to occur. So trying to budget for that is a very difficult process. You know, I think some people think that, you know, when budgeting in the coroner's office that, you know, you're supposed to know and approximate. You know what? We do that. We do take trends. However, what happens is the trends don't follow the script, and we wind up having more autopsies than are needed. So, that are not needed, but more autopsies that were required, and unfortunately, they're not in the budget. So. That's a very difficult thing to overcome, and people don't understand that. So that's always a difficult thing to overcome is budgeting.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez.
Well, I think the coroner's office has a very unique system because it's still an office that needs to be ruled as any other office or agency. So you have all your employees that need to be handled as regular employees, and then you have the emergency part of it, which is, you know, part of my main skills. The whole idea behind this is like, I have some doubts as far as whether the current coroner actually understands how his budget should be placed and handled. What I would do with the budget is I would create two budgets, one administrative that would be frozen, and another one that would be forensic and forensic only. So that budget will basically go up or down based on the type of incidents and the number of cases that we will have. But I will bring my coroner's office back into budget, and that will be my first priority at this point.
Thank you. Do you have plans to bring grant funding to the office? Mr. Martinez, we'll start with you.
Well, if anybody remembers, when I ran in 2012, that was a big thing. I mean, I don't see any grants being brought to the office in any way. I see, you know, funds that in a way have been managed towards certifications and vehicles and however else, but no grants coming in that could have been there already. I was in 2012 pushing for the program starts with the Homeland Security. There's other counties in the state of Illinois and other states that have gotten grants, mobile morgues, and mobile command centers, vehicles that have come directly through them. So it was something that should have been taken care of. I mean, we can't just resource the taxpayers' money and taxpayers' money only. We need to go through and basically lift every stone and try to find all the different things that can make this coroner's office better for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Russell.
Yes, in response to the other question as well, just so that the audience knows, we do separate the budget. It is basically line items. So, and as far as grant funding, you know, one of the things that I was able to do for the office was I actually brought in $300,000 worth of Narcan, and that was basically given to the office because of the fact we were an accredited office. It was given from an advocacy group that dealt with Narcan, and many of our police agencies did not have the Narcan. So it was very important to me to help save money in the budget, because every drug death is an autopsy, it's toxicology, it's several different expenses that we have to incur. So I wanted to make sure that we had enough of the Narcan, hopefully to save some lives. And we got $300,000. We also wrote the Paul Coverdale grant a couple times, but we were not you know, blessed with those grants. Unfortunately, it usually goes to the south side or some of the other places in the city. But we have written for grants, it's just we haven't been able to obtain any.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Martinez, does the growing population of Kane County impact your office?
Yeah, and every life that we have here in Kane County will impact our office. And more than anything, we need to impact our community ourselves. We need to be proactive. We need to be out there and try to, I believe in the prevention over intervention system, where we don't have to wait for people to need a Narcan pen, to save their lives or overdose with it. So I believe that we can deal with our youth, the age, my kids, and start making them more proactive. I actually been working with a program from an author from Robert Renteria. He's got an entire different program, and the way he manages is directed straight to the kids. And he has donated the curriculum so I can implement it. So, I mean, I'm not even part of the coroner's office, and I'm already working with my community because this is what I want to do.
Thank you. Mr. Russell.
Yes, the growing population definitely has. And since I've been the coroner, we have obviously needed more funds, and we were able to get funds as they were needed. Because there's really only two universal events for humans. One is birth and the other is death. So when you have more people, you're going to have more births and you're going to have more deaths. So absolutely the growing population of Kane County has an impact.
Thank you. Next question, starting with Mr. Russell. How many death investigations have you directly been involved with?
It's a great question. I'm the only coroner, I'm the only candidate here for coroner that's ever performed a death investigation. Prior to becoming the coroner, I also performed some death investigations as a DuPage County deputy. So directly, hundreds.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez.
Well, I would like to answer that question. Part of the issue that I have with that question is I do have a signed agreement for confidentiality with the Kendall County Coroner's Office. So anything in relation to how many times I've been out, how many cases have I handled, it would be something that will have to be directed to them. Now, there has been some newspaper articles where I've been photographed on main page, so they can be researched, and as much as I hate to ignore a question, I want to let you guys know I'm experienced in this line of work. I'm experienced in this line of work, and I don't give up. I continue to learn, and I continue to achieve different goals. And one of my goals will be to take care of the people in Kane County and the families of Kane County with dignity and compassion.
Next question, starting with Mr. Martinez. In a day and age when government agencies are being asked to do more with less, what cost-saving measures will you implement at the coroner's office?
Cost saving. Well, our biggest cost right now is the management of our employees. As I said in the last forum, we have employees that are cashing a $46,000 plus benefit salary, but we have a $60,000 per diem on overtime. I will get rid of the overtime. I will get rid of the per diem. We can't afford to go through and continue to waste our money and our taxpayers' money that way. I will go through and implement donations, and we'll bring volunteers, that want to be part of the coroner's office. I will probably try to work with some part-timers, and train a vast amount of staff that, don't necessarily need to be on payroll, but they can be at our disposal if we ever need them. So I would also be a part of the team. I've heard so many times that we only have 5 deputies, and I'm wondering if our actual coroner considers himself one.
Mr. Russell.
Could you repeat the question, please?
In a day and age when government agencies are being asked to do more with less, what cost-saving measures will you implement at the coroner's office?
Great, I just want to make sure I got the question right. Well, to be honest with you, we've already done a bunch of cost-cut saving measures. We buried, cremains of 47, almost 50 people at no cost to the taxpayers. We put up a Facebook page that has a lot of health prevention and information at no cost to the taxpayers. I incorporated a cold cases unit that uses volunteers to help reverse some old bad decisions at no cost to the taxpayers. We also made a new case software report writing program that was used with our own IT department. It was a very big operation to do that. We did that at no cost to the taxpayers. Moving forward, we've got a lot of other things we want to do and we're going to do, like have a coroner's foundation that will help fund some more training for each and every one of my deputies. So yes, to answer the question, there's a lot of things that we've done. There's a lot more things that we can do, and I hope to do it with your blessing and your vote.
Okay, question 6, starting with Mr. Russell. Do you feel that the appropriate protocols are being used in the coroner's office? Why?
I absolutely believe the proper protocols are being used, and here's why. My opinion means very little. It does. When you think about it, of course, I'm going to say we have the greatest coroner's office in the world. However, when you've got accreditation, which means that other outside area coroners are looking at your office and saying that you're squared away, that means more to me than my opinion. And we have that. We are the only coroner's office in the state of Illinois that has been accredited by the International Association of Coroners and Medical Examiners. So we have those proper procedures in place. We take care of families. It's not just about having compassion. It is definitely, you need to have compassion, but sometimes your next of kin is also the one who caused the death. So we have to utilize not just compassion, not just intellect, but we also have to utilize a concept called wisdom. Wisdom is even more important because then we know, when to give that proper, what's needed at that situation.
Thank you.
Well,
Martinez.
I'm going to approach this question in a different angle. Many people know that my brother was murdered this year in March in Mexico. And when he says that he's got procedures, like my opponent says that he's got procedures and he's got all this stuff and we brought dignity and we brought this, there's nothing dignifying about letting people decompose in their morgue. There's nothing dignifying about letting police evidence being destroyed because they don't know how to manage it. So from that standpoint, my families will be my priority. This will never ever happen again. A fancy accreditation. I'm all for accreditation, but I won't spend my taxpayers' money in getting a fancy degree and a fancy title that defeats what we're there for. We're there to take care of families, and you can have a fancy title and accreditation, but if you let people decompose in your morgue, evidence go to waste, what are we there for?
Okay, that leads me to the next question is, how does accreditation benefit the county? Start with you, Mr. Martinez.
Well, I think the accreditation, actually, any accreditation benefits. It's always good to learn, but in this case, I think that this accreditation actually hurt our county. I remember in 2012, my opponent said that it was only going to cost a drop in a bucket to implement this accreditation. He ended up hiring a grant writer that cashed $60,000 per year for a year and a half. So that was not a drop in the bucket. That was $100,000 that were dumped into this, plus the cost of flying to Las Vegas and getting all the people trained, however. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but they accredited DuPage County. This accreditation happened when he was in DuPage County. So it's like moving into your neighbor's house while you're in their construction and having the place approved and then moving back to your house. You don't carry that. They basically spend a lot of money on approving DuPage.
Mr. Russell.
Yes, actually, accreditation benefits in several ways. First of all, accreditation is not just about your facility. Your accreditation is about your operations, your internal operations of your office. And because of the time that we had found mold in the building, we asked the accreditation people if it'd be okay to go over to DuPage, and they were like, absolutely, you can have an off-site morgue. We're more interested in what you do and how you do it. So we obviously passed that portion with flying colors. As far as the grant writer that was hired, he was actually replaced. I had 3 secretaries when I took over. I let go of one of the secretaries and I brought in Joe to come in, look for grants, number 1, number 2, to help with the accreditation process. So we didn't gain any office head with that. We actually just replaced that with another person, and he actually also helped with some union negotiations and also with the making sure the policy and procedure manual was up to snuff. But accreditation, the benefits of accreditation are basically that I'm not doing things just necessarily the way that I want to do them. It's a national thing, so.
Thank you. Last question, starting with Mr. Russell. What makes you uniquely qualified to lead the Kane County Coroner's Office?
Well, to start off with, is I'm the only one that's ever done a death investigation. That makes me uniquely qualified. You know, unfortunately, my opponent here, I mean, he's a great guy, he's got a good company. I don't mean to say anything negative against him, but he's never performed a death investigation. You know, we actually, a friend of mine actually looked into and called the Kendall County, and basically they stated he's never performed an investigation. Now, if they can say it, why can't he? I don't know the answer to that. But he's never performed a death investigation, period. So I'm the only one that's ever done that. Beyond that, you know, I've also got a master's degree, a bachelor's degree in criminology, you know, I'm a certified peace officer with the state of Illinois, 20 years of police experience from DuPage County. That's, I mean, it's not much else to say, really. I mean, I'm the only one who's ever performed a death investigation. Thank you.
Mr. Martinez.
Yeah, thank you. He's not the only one that has performed an investigation. He's also the only one that has let people decompose in their morgue. He's also the only one that has gone through and damaged police evidence. He's also the only one that has not met his budget, has gone through and robbed Peter to pay Paul to go through and make his budget come through. My certifications and my training is in medical legal death investigations, highway rail grave crossing investigations, aquatic death and homicidal drowning, property and evidence management, patterns of injury, overdose deaths, post-mortem toxicology, mass fatalities, and I can continue on and on and on. I run a business. My business is not over budget. I started this business with nothing. And not only I had acquired one business or created something from nothing, I have expanded into multiple facets in different areas. So my record is proven. It's not my qualifications and it's not my experience that is being questioned. And if you question, give me the opportunity to be your coroner. I'll prove you.
Thank you. And now we go to the close. We'll start with Mr. Martinez. You get 2 minutes.
Well, thank you very much for having us out here. Again, I've been asked all the time when I talk to people, coroner, why are you running for coroner? Well, who wants to be coroner? I do. I want to be coroner. I want to take care of all of the families in Kane County. I want to be able to try to prevent and save lives because that's what I did as an oldest brother. I always took care of my younger brothers. And I have everything that anybody will need to rule this coroner and run this coroner office the way it needs to be. My skills have been tailored for this job. I'm the most qualified candidate for this job. I desire it because I want to take care of the families of Kane County. I can manage the budget. I can manage the employees. I can manage the time shift. I can take care of this place. I don't ever want to see people having to endure what my mother had to when my brother's body was presented to her in a partially decomposed stage. That should never happen to anyone. People should rely on the coroner's office and trust them, not have to figure whether our evidence is going to be safe or not. I built a lot of stuff with zero. And it has been with hard work and passion. I'll bring that passion to Kane County. I'll bring that passion to the people of Kane County, and we will be proactive. We will save lives rather than embrace death. We will make sure that our people are treated with compassion and dignity and respect. Thank you very much for having me out here. Thank you to my family and all the people that are here and the League of Women Voters. Thank you for all your service. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Russell.
Thank you, Lee, for putting us on. As always, we always say that it's best that you get out and vote. No matter what your party is or what your beliefs are, it's best that you get out and vote. 4 years ago, I walked into an office that was in bad shape. Since then, my team and I have brought the office back to a respected professional organization. Under my leadership, we have corrected payroll issues, regained respect among the police, fire, and funeral home personnel. We became the first accredited coroner's office in the state, and we also reversed previous death rulings using the latest scientific standards. We have gone from laughingstock to preferred stock in the world of county offices. The Daily Herald Board stated that no one can honestly say that Rob Russell hasn't made progress. Although a coroner's office is seldom mentioned as an object of pride, the citizens of Kane County should be proud of this office and the accomplishments we have attained. 4 years ago, the Kane County budget was 1% of the county coroner's office was 1% of the county budget. Today, it still is 1% of the budget. The biggest difference today is that the citizens are getting much more value for that 1%. Do not take my word for it. Look at the record of achievements. Look at the positive press. Look at the accreditation. Look at examples of compassion, integrity, and professionalism that this office has performed over the last 4 years. Please look at the experience, education, and certifications I have achieved over the years. I am the only candidate here that has performed a death investigation. I am the only candidate with higher education, a bachelor's and a master's degree. I am the only candidate that was selected by his peers to be the Illinois Coroners Association District 1 Director. These are all true, but really the only opinion that matters is your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to thank Lee Gervis, Marianne Knott, Eleanor Hamilton, Janet Kraft, Lona Steele, Chris Pagan, and Jean Pierce. I would like to also thank Blair Peters from Kane County IT Department and Jim Dillenberg from BATV. Thank you all for coming, and let's give a round of applause for the candidates. And remember, no vote, no voice.